Hi friends, my name is host Eric. I'm just talking with Finnish people, and I want to talk speculatively this morning about a member of the community that I'm going to refer to as Plub. Okay, so here's a speculation about what might be happening and what might what might turn out to have been happening. I suspect that Plub is playing the role of multiple parties around GWFP and has been for quite some time. That a, a good 8 to 10 regular identities probably are played by Plub. Um, for a number I don't want to go into substantiating this claim. Okay, it's just a suspicion and a speculation. Basically, my intuition is telling me this. And I'm not going to list the people that I think are probably played by Plub. But what I guess I point out that what makes this sort of like a beautiful tragedy is there is the the massive misstep here, right? Which is like missing a couple of key points. Number one, well, I guess number one key point is this: spending all your time engaging with me and my media is not a way to get me, right? Even if you are successfully deceiving me. Number two, deceit's bad. It's like I said when I read the Holy Holy Bible, the new Holy Holy Bible of the Christian religion. I don't remember the exact words, but it's something along the lines of deceit and deception are bad, even in instances where they feel justified, because there may be plenty of instances where you feel like there's an unjust pressure being placed upon you to tell the truth, but you can always remain silent, right? So, okay, so the point is, it's like, let's say you do pull this thing off, rather than it getting kind of blown up beforehand, in ways that you would hope weren't going to happen or something. So, I guess brings me to the third point about Plub's failure to NI, which is to say to factor in the big picture questions. To the extent that you spend a large percentage of your time engaged in this speculative program fakery, creating various characters to play as role playing in the chat. Well, first of all, I can tell you from my own experience that to me that gets boring very quickly. Like, I sometimes go in and pretend to be or play the role of Mindy, a CJ stream. But note that farce is not actually predicated on deception, right? It's like there's nobody there doesn't get that I'm Mindy. So it's not assaulted in the way that like something like Sasha Baron Cohen is assaulted, right? Like that's just not cool when somebody without your consent, without your knowledge, ropes you unwittingly into their comedy. Especially if to some extent they're holding you up as an object of ridicule, then it's just not cool. And it's what SE people sometimes devolve to is like prank style comedy. Well, I mean, prank style comedy is both not funny and not cool. So that's just all there is to it. It's not like there should be any real split of opinion on this, because it's relying on something else because you're yourself not funny, right? So you have to create the scenario in which taking advantage of the disruption of people's expectations on the physical plane replaces disrupting their expectations on the metaphysical plane where comedy belongs, you know? And of course, comedy's a tricky business. It's, to do it well, you have to really have a good sense of boundaries, because there's a lot of things that walk along. Comedy tends to walk along the edges of things. Sometimes it's those edges are just kind of wholesome linguistic pun type things, and sometimes they're challenging more to society's core values. And walking those lines requires somebody who's really intuitively deft, ultimately, because I walk them all the time and I never fall off the edge of anything. And the reason I don't is because, there's a fundamental commitment to character that comes before beginning any media project. I'm going to be honest. I'm going to be transparent. I'm going to be not ill-willed. I'm not going to pursue disruption for its own sake, right? And I like people to be as fully informed as they can be when I'm engaging with them about anything. It's common courtesy from an ENTP's perspective. Of course, from an SE Dom's perspective, they're going to say, if they were smart enough to say it, they would say something along the lines of, "You're just projecting a function bias that in fact word action is not inherently more or less justified in disrupting people's expectations than action. And the thing is, I agree that there's nothing inherently better or more ethical about word jokes than physical jokes, as long as the physicality or the concretization of the humor isn't manifest with somebody else's unwilling or unwitting consent. Because at that point, you're predicating your humor not on disrupting people's expectations in a way that's funny, but on lying to people, on misrepresenting yourself, on taking advantage of the ability of other people to give their fellow human beings the benefit of the doubt and assume that they're being honest, right? You're exploiting a currency we all rely on to move through the world smoothly. You're exploiting a vulnerability in that currency to attain self-interested kind of outcomes, or stuff that's important to you maybe, but doesn't care at all about what you stomp on the way there. So that's, it's like, as an FI polar person, I understand what it's like to forget about FI, but what seems more appalling to me is a reality in which you're taking advantage of other people's FI as a way of going about your business. It's like a operational value. You're gonna exploit the fact that people feel things to prompt unwanted response. To prompt a response that's reflexive, that's but also that's predicated on deception rather than creativity. And so it's inherently unwanted because you can't get consent for a lie. Like, it doesn't work that way. If you get consent from me, but I've told you a bunch of lies, but you told me a bunch of lies about what I'm consenting to, then that's not consent. Anyway, the point is, I really have always, for a long time, hated stuff like Sacha Baron Cohen and those kind of purported artists who manifest their lack of creativity at others' expense. It's like, I get it, not everybody's going to be clever, not everybody's going to be hilarious, but accept that limit in yourself. Don't try to start converting other people's dignity into your art. That's just ridiculous. It's incredibly weak NI, no TI expressing it consciously the value. It's to I think not just probably ENTPs, but really anybody who cares at all about justice. There's a sense that unless I'm also a media personality, that you shouldn't do that. Now, in this instance, obviously, I am also a media personality, so I'm not complaining that this was done to me. I'm saying I don't like that kind of humor at all, because even though it could be justified in this instance, I'm a public figure. I'm subject to this kind of thing. There's no guarantees when I talk to somebody that they're being honest. So, right, I'm not saying that he's crossed any lines. If I'm right about Plub doing this and executing this scheme, I'm just saying at the end of the day, I think executing schemes like this is ugly and to be avoided, and most of all representative of a lack of creativity, because, and also a lack of awareness of what you're really doing, right? It's like, hold on, so my art is to hang around watching this guy's media for a super long time, and then eventually reveal that like 6 or 8 people that I thought I'd been interacting with that are different people are actually just Plub. It's what about Plub, right? Like, okay, Plub, well, wow, you put a lot of time and energy into this project, and like, I'm flattered and everything, but why pick me of all people? It's like there are big YouTubers out there. I mean, the thing is, I suspect that Plub somehow links in with a Red Bar Radio guy, Red Bar Radio and stuff. I'm not sure, because they all have this strange kind of attempt, like, sort of ham-fisted attempt at shared mythologies that don't really exist. And once this notion occurred to me that this is probably possibly what's happening, it kind of all a lot of things fell into place, and there was kind of this is that right? It might be, who knows? But like, that would explain Elise S, for example, in the premiere yesterday, right? For those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, Elise S, who's somebody who's been around the channel for quite a while, and whom I've interacted with without difficulty many occasions, came in randomly and started trying to tell Rachel to, like, watch out for me, I'm a controlling narcissist or something like that, which is of course insane, but it was totally out of the blue. And then Karma's Pimp put some totally out of the blue shit yesterday in the stream, and I realized, oh, I think this person, oh shit, maybe because there's a certain similarity to their I'm not. Karma's Pimp's a little bit up in the air. I'm not sure what to make of Karma's Pimp, but there's that. That's what I make about his ridiculous nonsense. When he stormed out of the stream going, if you're gonna just talk shit I'm out of here, and I'm not gonna sit around in this circle jerk while you guys lie and delude yourselves or something. Well, of course, we weren't lying or deluding ourselves a bit about anything at the moment. I don't remember exactly what we were talking about, but I noticed that when I was watching it, like all these various things kind of, and I collapsed. They've been kind of building there for a while, I guess. Anyway, I got to type in not super long time. I think I'm going to go try to lie down for about half an hour. I feel suddenly very tired because I didn't get nearly enough sleep last night. It's 7 a.m. typing this morning. So if I get half an hour, then I'll be probably good to get up and put some effort into this typing. Anyway, thoughts? We'll find out. I mean, at least, at the very least, we got to credit then his approach here to provoking this additional thought and response from me. So in that regard, it definitely had impact, right? And that's no point in not giving credit where credit's due, I guess.